Well, yes, I'm chuckling here this morning because the guest is quite pleased at the profile picture of him that's just come up. You're welcome to the program, Mr. Engineer Clement Inze.
Oh, thank
Is
you.
the Director General, Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, the NIHSA. You have predicted, you have given us the flood outlook, or every year now for quite a while. This year, you did predict that there was going to be flooding in quite a number of states, and almost all the states that you predicted could get flooded. I think quite a number of them have already experienced some amount of flooding.
Yes.
So far, so good. Are you happy? No, I don't think that you'll be happy, but in one way, one would say that it's a good thing that you are able to predict the amount of water that, the amount of water that I think you deal more with the level of water
Yes.
around the states. And you'll be happy that your predictions have come true. However, I don't think that you'll be happy that homes and all those kinds and, important places have been flooded as a result. What are your feelings?
Honestly, it is one of mixed feeling. That you predict and it comes to pass. One should be happy that at least the science you are applying to do the prediction is working, or that you are doing something perfectly well. That's of accuracy of occurrence. But on the other hand, we do feel sad as an agency that precautions are not taken ahead of time to avert, the predictions coming through with the devastation that normally take place. So it's a kind of mixed feeling.
Yes, indeed. However, have any states taken seriously? I'm looking at, this is for our viewers who are watching now. This is your prediction before the onset of the flooding, that 36 states of the Federation and the FCT are at the risk of varying degrees of flood threat. 353 local government areas across 30 states were predicted to experience moderate to high flood risk, and 421 local government areas spread across all the 36 states are at low risk of flood threat. It is amazing that even the Federal Capital Territory, experienced flooding, which led to deaths.
Yes.
Very, very sadly, and in an area where people would not have thought that would happen. In the local Goma area, I think Aladimawa axis is where that happened. Did it come as a shock to you? And are you surprised, or will I say, would you say you're impressed by the level of preparedness that we have applied to issues, not to threats, the warnings that you have given as a flooding, well, as a hydrological agency?
Really, the response to our predictions in terms of taking precautionary measures have not been quite pleasant rather. It's always when it has occurred that people now begin to do what, as we call it, fire brigade approach. People, states and the individuals, estate developers have not taken heed to our predictions. They have not. If not, or if they have done so, we could have been witnessing what is happening even up to today. Response to our predictions have not been quite encouraging.
You talk about estate developers. Some people will say that shouldn't you be dealing more with the authorities who are supposed to, deal with these estate developers?
No, first of all, our agency, whatever we speak about, has to do with is kind of advisory. We don't enforce, but we try to bring into whatever we do, bring in, the different authorities that are in charge of enforcement. Talk about urban planning, regional planning, ministries of environment in the states. We bring them along as we do our prediction. Let them know this is what is going to happen in their own localities. We will give them, these are in your own states, these are local government areas that we have fingered in our prediction that might be adversely affected. So we inform them. So it is it behoves those agencies of the states to implement necessary laws. Like I'll talk about estate developers. What happened in Abuja here, Lukogoma, the other one too. These are within estates. I had personally met with the director in charge of development control in Abuja, where the first flooding occurred, I think either Lukogoma also, around 6th of June, to discuss with him how can we bring together all the estate developers in Abuja in particular to see what can be done? We have the science. We know what should be done in terms of doing kind of mapping, floodplain mapping, to map the level of inundation, that any structure that falls within this radius should be marked and should be brought down. So we have to give that advice.
How did the meeting go?
Well, I'm still waiting because I personally went to meet the director. I'm yet to get another response.
The meeting was not able to, it didn't happen?
No, I was outside the country when the event happened on the 6th of June.
Yes.
Yeah, in either Goma or there are two of them there, around that airport axis. So when I came back, that was my first port of call, because I saw the eclipse here and there. So I said, well, let us convene a meeting of state developers in Abuja. We know what could be done in terms of giving them the necessary locations or spots wherein any structure that falls within should be removed, should be mapped.
I understand that. What I'm saying
is... now, the promise I got that we are going to meet later, to have this kind of meeting as I envisaged, as I intended, with relevant people that do have estates in Abuja, quite a lot of them, in hundreds. We couldn't go further than that. Like I said, ours is advisory.
The meeting is yet to happen, so you have not been able to meet with the developers.
With the
and there is nothing more you can do outside of that.
No, we're not an enforcement agency.
Yes, I imagine that you're not. But what I'm saying is, could you go ahead and still give a mapping of the floodplains and things of the sort without even this meeting? I'm just asking.
No, we can't just carry our tools and begin to walk around the Abuja. There are people that are agencies that are specifically mandated for certain activities to take place. We can't just encroach on that without, if we talk the word, use the word, kind of permit to go on.
Oh. From what we saw, it would seem that almost all the 700 plus local governments in the Federal Republic of Nigeria were going to be affected by some level of flooding or the other, somewhere at a very high risk, somewhere at a low risk. I think this is what we're seeing on the slide now. States affected by various degrees of flooding include Katsina, Kebbi, Niger, Sokoto, Zamfara, Kaduna, Kwara, Adamawa, Bauchi. That's virtually all the states
Correct.
of the Federal Capital Territory. Why am I saying Federal Capital Territory this morning?
Yeah,
all the states of Nigeria, perhaps because I've been speaking with the CP of the Federal Capital Territory. Okay. But virtually all the states were going to experience some level of flooding, somewhere at a high risk, somewhere at a low risk.
Yes.
We are approaching the end of the rainy season that people would want to believe. But it would seem that the rains have become even more aggressive as they're going. On Saturday, a lot of Lagosians will tell you that they were indoors throughout because the rains fell from morning till night in varying intensities around the state, but in some areas it was extremely heavy. Is there anything that could have done about the threat of flooding which states were going to experience?
Now, just before I come to that, the Nigeria Meteorological Agency, NIHSA, predicted that there will be late onset or takeoff of rainy season in the country, and there will be early cessation, meaning that we have a shorter period of rainy season in the country for the year 2019. But then when the rains begins to cease, it starts from the north. Like by their prediction, around September 26th, rain ought to have stopped in Katsina and Sokoto, and that 26th of September. So it begins to come down gradually. But for the southern part of Nigeria, up to end of November and early December, rains will still continue to fall. Now, as we are moving, like I mentioned sometime, maybe here, there are rivers that are outside our catchment in Nigeria, rivers Niger and Benue. They cut across what we call West and Central Africa. And Nigeria is at the receiving all the 8 other countries. Whatever happens there in terms of rainy season, flooding that happens in those areas, Nigeria will be the last to receive it before it enters into the Atlantic Ocean or through the Gulf of Guinea. Now, places like Bayelsa, Rivers, Delta, Anambra, Kogi, is not yet Uhuru. Even if rain has has ceased from some states in the far north, because the magnitude of the flood is coming from all these countries, gravitate down to Nigeria. And it will take some time. There's a slide I gave, I don't know which gives you the evolution of the rain, of the flood from other countries. The number of days it will take, for instance, if you move from Guinea Conakry, coming down to Mali, it gives you the propagation, how it will again come down to Nigeria, number of days it will take before it arrives in Nigeria. So the southern part of Nigeria will continue to experience flooding for some time. Then you talk about Lagos. Yes, the heavy rainfall that took place there on Saturday. Somebody called me again from my village that it had been raining there for quite some days. And then Lagos is within the coast.
Where is that, your village?
My village is in Nato, in Abia State.
In Abia State, okay.
Yes, Umuno local government area. So the rains will still continue down that side. So you can still expect flooding in those areas. Now, there are three types of flooding. One is river flooding, when the rivers overflow their banks. That one is more devastating, and we can predict it when it is coming. Like the one was started in Niamey on August 31st. We know when it will reach Nigeria. That's on River Niger, river flooding. But what we see most of the time now is what we call urban flooding, flash flood. It may not give you sign. Maybe depending on what happens in the in the atmosphere. It will start falling. Maybe it can be about 1 hour, 2 hours, or even more than that. Like the one they set up for some days. Then, because of poor urban planning, because of lack of drainages or adequate drainages where they actually occur or exist, flooding will occur. And therefore, Lagos State, what I read where Jack Onde said, they said Lekki side, right, the other phase 2 or so, that people were swimming from their houses, from their homes to visit their neighbors. They were swimming. Now, coastal flooding will occur from time to time in Lagos, in Bayelsa. Like in Bayelsa, the level of the what we may call the natural ground level with the ocean is quite not quite much. So once there is this issue of climate changes, melting of the ice and so on, and so the states that are within the coast, like Ondo State, they will experience a coastal flooding, making it threats of flooding that could occur in Nigeria, depending on where the state is located.
So you talk about coastal flooding, you talk about flash flooding, and you talk about river flooding.
Yes.
Okay. So Lagos State would seem to be prone to 2 of them.
Yes,
because coastal and river.
Yes.
Oh, even
urban,
the 3. And even the urban.
Yes, can occur there, yes.
So how do we begin to differentiate when they experience flooding? Which one of the problems would we say that they are currently facing?
I think Lagos, what I can say is happening there is both coastal and urban. Coastal and urban. I can say that is happening in Lagos.
River flooding is not included?
You talk about the major rivers.
What about the lagoon?
That's the urban. Sorry, that's the coastal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's
like
coastal.
What is happening in Lekki. I remember some years back, Amadu Bello Way in Victoria Island, ocean surge, flowing to the road. We have NTA and other, maybe even embassies or so. Coastal flooding. I think that they're able to put some barriers, talking about certain things you can do to check, the flooding.
How effective are some of those measures? There's people who still believe that at the end of the day, in years to come, places like Lagos will be subsumed. Do you nurse such a fear? Do you see the science prove that such a thing could happen?
But I was amazed. There was Lagos is one of the mega cities. I think the major one in Africa. Mega cities. I can't remember how many of them in the whole world, but Lagos is one of them when it comes to Africa. And I saw a clip of about 6 cities that are sinking, and Lagos is one of them. So, I'm not an oceanographer or that aspect of the listen to be able to tell you whether or not it will happen. But the fact is, the things that we are seeing before us point towards the fact that if measures are not taken, and that early enough, we may run into trouble in Lagos. Population is increasing. Urban planning, trying to have well-defined drainages, open up some water courses to enter into the Atlantic.
So we can actually beat it if we put our minds to it?
Yes, we can.
So far, so good. Can you tell us the volume of rainfall? How many inches have we had so far, so good? And how much more are we expecting before the cessation of this rainy season?
Well, there is a point we use to determine, it's the most critical point of our measurement. We have a measurement instruments in major rivers in Nigeria. Some of them are automatic, that we can get the information. I can maybe through my phone here, I can tell you what the water level is, what the discharge, the rate of flow is. We interrogate it in the office without going to the location to take measurement. That telemetric equipment, like telephone, it can transmit it to you in the office through the satellite. Then we have manual one that we go there to read. Now, the epicenter of flood in Nigeria, whether what do you call it, river flooding and or flash flood and so on, is mainly Kogi State in Lokoja, with the point of contact of the two rivers. So as at today, the water level has been receding. It has been going down because Kainji and Jeba, when I alerted them that this is what is happening from Niamey, when the water level in Niamey Niger Republic was about 6.26, which is already at a red alert level on 31st of August, I had to inform the operator of Kainji Dam and Jeba at the same time that you should be expecting this magnitude of flooding at so time. And they did the needful by beginning to spill water, waiting for the advance of the flood from Niamey. When I say Niamey, it has passed through Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Guinea-Conakry, before coming to Niamey. And it will pass through Benin, about 40 kilometers before coming into Nigeria in Jidebode, Kebbi State. So they will have to lower their dam reservoir to be able to accommodate this one once it comes, because they should be able to know the time it will arrive. Now, yes, the water level in Kogi, in Lokoja, is stabilizing. It has been coming down. But when it's coming down, where is it going to? That's the question. The one that they have spilled from Kainji and Jeba, even Shiroro on River Kaduna, which empties into River Niger. Shiroro Dam is on River Kaduna, but built within Niger State. They were equally spilling water too. Coming down to Lokoja. So I said Lokoja is going down, the water level there, which is the critical point of measurement. But where is it going to? It is advancing to Edo, Anambra, Delta, Rivers, Bayelsa State. This is particularly for river flooding. So for those states, it's not yet over. Even if some states in the north, middle belt or north central, are getting safe, like if you talk about Kebbi State, I believe the level of water has passed. But then, where is that water that we started in Niamey? Where is it going to? It is gravitating towards all these states I mentioned, beyond the conflicts in Lokoja. So they should still brace up for flooding. Like the clip I saw yesterday also of somebody from Bayelsa State. It almost swallowed the fan, standing fan in the room. The lady was lamenting that all her documents, even laptop under the bed, which cannot access anywhere, have been swallowed by flood. A friend of mine who is into nature, so what is the herbal medicine, kind of one professor, he was trying to hang everything on the roof. It has overswallowed it has swallowed the window level. That is in Bayelsa. So you're not yet over. What we keep advocating, which we already try to push things on structure on ground, is we should start planning now. The states, the rest will be seasoned. Maybe by the time of for the southern part anyway, towards the end of December, no more. You can see the flood marks. Even 1 year after, scientists can still go back to the place and tell you this was the maximum flood in 2012, in 2018, in 2019. And then advise the states, let them take precaution. I lament it that virtually all the states have universities. We have eggheads, professors, experts in the field of hydrology, in the field of environment, who know what should be done. Task them, engage them, let them go and give you the solution. They know what to do. But the experts we have, whether private consultants or experts in the universities, they're not being made use of. They have the solution. I remember I was told, I don't know how correct it was, that when Adolf Hitler wanted to come into North Africa to prosecute his war, Second World War, he had to tell the scientists, I need a vehicle that doesn't use water. And that's how Volkswagen was born. I don't know whether it is true. They had to give him a vehicle that he can use to enter into Africa, to North Africa, the desert. That would not require you to put water from time to time to cool the engine. That was what brought, into being the Volkswagen vehicles we have. So let them tax the professors, the experts in their states.
In the meantime, what do? We just wait and look at the rains falling and then hope that they would not be falling too much in our neighboring countries to task the rivers too much, or what do we do?
Like someone told me, why must they release water from their own countries? They must release. I was in touch with my colleague in Cameroon, northern Cameroon, because of the fear about Lagdo Dam. So he assured me that maybe this week rain will cease in northern part of Cameroon. So they are still impounding water in the dam. So no cause for alarm. But if their dam should be threatened at a level of 216 meters high, the elevation of the reservoir, once it gets there, you can't tell them that Nigeria, please don't release water. Because if they don't, like what happened in 2012, if they didn't release water in 2012, that dam could have collapsed. And the dam should have collapsed, it would be a different ballgame for Adamawa, Taraba.
It would have been more disastrous.
Yes, far, far more than that. For a dam of such capacity, 7.6 billion cubic meters of water to collapse, it will be quite dangerous for Nigeria. So let's do the needful. Plan ahead of time. Open up channels. Don't build within the water. I was told in FCT, they have already marked about 150 buildings. We did demolish them eventually. I don't know. Let them summon the courage of Eurofy in around 2003, 2004. Where many structures, I can remember one hospital, about 2-story building on Accra Street of Zone 5, had to be pulled down near Ibro Hotel. So we have that place, it's an open place up to today. So let them summon the courage to remove structures that are within the flood plains. And don't allocate lands to the high and mighty in the society to build structures within the natural flood plain or natural depressions that nature provided, that during the rainy season, excess water should pass through there. You go and acquire it and appropriate. You can't go free.
Are you seeing the enthusiasm, though, on the part of those who should be doing this job, not just in the Federal Capital Territory, but across the country, especially as people continue to experience these incidences of flooding? Do you see enthusiasm on the part of political leaders to do something about it?
Well, what we are seeing now is because we are in it, the flooding is already here. So there may be some activities, motions without movement anyway. So we can say for sure by the time the rainy season is over, we can now see the activity to confirm whether they are really serious about flooding to address it or not. My agency, we're already planning something big. In fact, when I was before the National Assembly, the Senate in particular, Senate Committee on Water, they were asking, would you want us, Senate Committee on Water Resources, to convene stakeholders forum to address this issue? It will involve a whole gamut of stakeholders. So what I'm saying is, how ready, how sincere the state governments are or individuals are can only be determined by their activities when the rains are over. But as of today, so many things are happening, trying to clear gutter, do this and opening drainages. That's because the floods are already here with us. But when the dry season comes, let us see whether they are really trying to do something.
Well, Engineer, we have to thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily. I think you've just dropped the word there. As some people will say that, we really know how serious we are with the activities we continue with in the dry season when the rains are gone. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. He is the Director General, Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency. That's Engineer Clement Unze. Sunrise Daily continues in a moment. Please stay with us.